Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, in today's first reading, and indeed in the Gospel, we hear of judgment. Judgment is the word that more or less captures the scenarios that are encountered in the two readings. In the first reading, Paul speaks to the community in Corinth, a city that is bedeviled by many vices. And one of their vices is that of gossip and passing on judgments on people. And as they do so, they dismiss even people like Paul, who considers himself a servant and a steward of God's mysteries. Paul will not take this lying down. He wants to tell the community that they are not worthy of passing judgment on him. And as he does so, he holds his life before them. And he tells them that when he looks at his life, there is no reproach, there is no regret. He does not see that which he has done wrong. And yet, even when he knows that this is the life that he lives, he says he reserves judgment to God, the just judge, who will pass on judgment on all people's hearts when he opens their hearts and he sees what is hidden in them. I think that's a very wise advice that we can take from today's first reading. Not to be men and women who are quick on passing judgment on others. In the Gospel, judgment is passed against Jesus and his disciples. The Pharisees make an observation that John's disciples, and indeed their own disciples, do fast. And yet Jesus' disciples seem to be whining and dining. And on the basis of their lifestyle, their credibility is questioned. And Jesus himself's ministry is put into disrepute. In answer to the judgment that is being passed on his disciples and himself, Jesus tells two very short parables. He tells a story of one who has a piece of old cloth that he wants to mend. And he says, if you want to mend it, you do not put a new patch. And then he tells the story of the new wine that cannot be put in old wineskins. What Jesus is speaking about to the Pharisees is that which they have not been able to perceive. In their life, the actions and the words of Jesus, God is doing something new. He is the new thing in town. And if people want to accept this new reality, they will need to be converted in their mindsets. It's not so much about preserving the past. It's not so much about taking Jesus and seeing him through the old lens. Yes, there is something of the old in his life, in his ministry, in his teachings. And yet there is something that is new, that can easily be missed by those who think that to preserve whatever God has revealed, the only way to do so is to observe, preserve the traditions and do nothing else. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, the church risks being a museum if all we do is to sit and polish the old antiques. That kind of a church is not the church of Jesus. The church of Jesus is one that honors tradition, and yet is also one that goes beyond tradition. As we reflect on this day, we might want to pause and think of our responses to the reality of the gospel. What's our attitude to the gospel? Is it that of preservation, of self-maintenance, or is it that of mission? If it's of mission, there is the old and the new combined. And if it's of mission, it's not about maintenance. It's about going out, finding new ways of proclaiming the gospel, reaching out to places where the gospel has never been proclaimed.